Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Good morning, OB.
Good morning.
David Nuño here on TexAgs Live, if you didn't know.
Yeah, I knew that.
I thought you were awesome at PKO. I want to say it here on the show. You were excellent.
Oh.
What an intro.
Oh, thank you.
And I think Coach Elko he acknowledged how much he appreciated it.
I just
told the facts.
Spouted facts and told one joke, and that was it. But mainly it was just factual information.
So what was your favorite part of PKO?
I really enjoyed listening to Coach Elko, especially when he talked about how he doesn't call prevent defense. It just looked like it sometimes last year. So,
that was funny. He looked like he was ready for the questions, by the way. He was ready.
And I think Trev Alberts gave a lot of very factual information that you don't always get.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really, really eye-opening.
I thought everybody who spoke, TexAgs staff included, was on their A game. Like,
I didn't mention Bucky McMillan.
Bucky McMillan was awesome.
Yeah, he kind of almost stole the show.
It was weird because Luke's had a couple tweets about basketball and it's getting me excited. I'm like, wait, we're about to start football. And I'm already thinking about, he even said, he goes, this is something I don't know if you watched the Luchador yet, but I brought it up with Billy. He said, when we make the Final Four, not if we make the Final Four. And it just, I'm ready for and he said, if we make the NCAA tournament, can they be one of the top 10 teams in the SEC? Nobody in the country knows. Nobody. But he sure believes they can.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, look, I'm already sold on him because when he took the job, I was thinking, just try to get a winning record. And then he put together a roster.
Yeah.
Despite incredible obstacles. And I think you can go into this season asking, could they be a tournament team? Yeah. So I think he's already overachieved.
Coach Early spoke for the first time, I think, publicly. Maybe he had said a couple things, but in a long form, and Bronny got some great information. And he said, everything's on me. He goes, I got to be better. And he recognized some areas that they want to be better. It'll start at fall camp or fall ball. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I thought the roundtable discussion was fun because we got different perspectives of coaches at different stages in their career and different stages of where the program is. Mm-hmm. You got Coach G rebuilding something because there's a lot of new roster, and he's won so long at A&M, trying to bring that back. Pat Henry, fresh off his men's national championship, women's third. Jamie Morrison in volleyball. You've spoken about how interested you are in volleyball because what he's been able to do. And then Mark Weaver, our buddy, who just won a national championship a year ago and almost won it again this year.
Hadn't he played for the national championship 3 years in a row and won it once? Isn't that right?
Is that right from 2 years ago?
Maybe it's not, but I thought they had played, but maybe not. Maybe I'm giving the Dreamweaver even more credit.
He deserves all the credit.
Yeah,
and look, it's
and his players, of course.
Yeah, of course. And they're going to look a little different this year. But it was and then Trev. I mean, the questions. Hunter's fantastic in that setting because he gets to the root of a question and is not scared to ask something and elicit a good response.
I loved when they were talking about there's just maybe too many Chiefs at A&M, and maybe that's one of the reasons that it's holding them down from getting maximizing all the potential at A&M.
Look, we're supposed to feel good at this point of the year. Preseason kickoff is what I call it. It's a kickoff to the athletic calendar, right? Like the coaches, it's kind of like SEC Media Days. But if you listen to what they were saying, like it didn't feel like rah-rah. It felt like this is who we are. And then I'm talking about all the coaches. And this is what we could do this year. Now, look, football, which is what pays our bills.
Pays everybody's bills.
Yeah, true. He seemed to me, I don't know if bullish is the right word, but there was a quiet confidence in how he answered things that I took like, okay, he feels really good about this. Now, we'll see if the work pays off. Like, there's another team trying to do the exact same thing you're trying to do, right? Mm-hmm. But he seemed to feel very good about what they've done in the offseason to address many issues.
Well, we've talked about it all offseason, but now we're at the playoffs of talking season, right? If Marcel is good, better. He was good last year. If he makes the significant stride, if they fix issues in coverage and find a pass rush, this team could be really, really good. But there's those caveats.
Yep.
And there are reasons we've talked about for the last 6 months to believe they will do all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But until they do it, there has to be a certain amount of apprehension, at least on my part.
I agree. I agree. But I feel good about it. I always get to, I'm like a typical Aggie fan, I think, right? I go optimism, I go pessimism, like easily in the stream of a conversation, right? Like
in one drive.
Yeah. And you sit next to me, God, we're going to lose this game by 40. Right? It's just a field goal. Oh my gosh, we might win this game by 68 points. You're there. You're like, relax, Nuño. But right now where I'm at is I have all the same concerns everybody has. I have those same concerns. But I can see a what-if scenario and a realistic what-if. What if Marcel does develop? What if all the running backs are healthy, balling out, right?
You just hit it right there, health. We forget how many injuries, injuries, we all know, part of football. Everybody knows it. But there's one thing to have injuries, and there's nothing to have this enormous volume of injuries. And when you start going down the list, how many A&M had, and still, if you beat Auburn, you're still playing for the SEC championship.
But no more ifs. We do.
Well, let's hope.
Look at that.
Let's hope they stay healthy.
We do, and let's hope. New shirts for TexAgs.
Yeah, we do hope.
We do hope. Absolutely. So, you ready to hear a bold prediction about Texas A&M?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. It's not mine.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, I'm not predicting this, but I like it.
All right.
Saturday down south. I think his name is Derek Peterson. One bold prediction for every SEC team in 2025. His prediction for Texas A&M is they start the season 7-0.
Okay.
He goes into why the schedule is what it is, but a hot start in College Station, ? A&M has tune-ups against UTSA, Utah State before heading to South Bend. Then A&M plays 3 straight home games against Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida. The Aggies play Arkansas on October the 18th. After that game, Elko squad will be sitting at 7-0.
Well, hope he's right. And I hope then after they play LSU, they'll be 8-0. So on and so on.
I'm going to try.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I'm going to try to be a football coach when I evaluate this team. Okay? Like, I'm going to be week to week.
Yes.
Okay? So, yeah, some people got them 10-2. I've flirted with the idea of 8-4 that I hate. You know what? At least for today, and I hope during the season, because if you were to evaluate A&M last year on the Notre Dame game, right, at that point, you could have seen a scenario where they go 7-5 in year one for Mike Elko, right?
I guess, yeah.
Could have. If you would have based it on what they did against LSU, we're booking our trips to Atlanta.
Well, I was ready to do that.
I was mentally like, if we get past this game, there ain't no way we're not going to.
All you had to do get beat South Carolina and Auburn. We could do that.
On the road at night in the SEC? Of course we can do. Oh, wait.
November. Put the no in November.
Well, let's put I can't think of anything clever. The yay.
The remember.
And hooray. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever. I got fired on that one. But that all being said, can you see a scenario where they start off 7-0?
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's out of the question. It's unlikely. just because those are some good football teams.
Of the first 7 games, give me 2 games, and I think I know the answer to the first one, that are like, I don't know, bro.
Notre Dame and
Florida, right?
Florida or Auburn? Probably Florida, because I still have a certain amount of questions about Auburn. I've had a lot of questions about Florida's defense. I think I have just as many, if not more, about Auburn's defense. And as good as Auburn's supposed to be, much better offensively, I still look at Florida as being a better offensive team. So, Florida and Notre Dame.
Florida and Notre Dame.
And you could have won. You did beat Florida handily, and you could have. You had a great chance to beat Notre Dame, and you blew it.
One of the things that Elko said was how difficult, and we all know this, but how difficult it is to win on the road at night in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So before we go there, you've been to Notre Dame, okay? You've been to South Bend. How difficult is it of an environment, 6:30 p.m. game, I think it is, against, like, is it SEC territory?
I'm sure it is. They have great fan support, but the one time I went to Notre Dame, they got the living crap beat out of them.
You'd be the good luck charm.
I think it was like 38-7, when I was there. So, it wasn't it wasn't that imposing. But, things are different.
They're a good team. What I worry about is, and I know there's a different defensive line. Reese, if you can, look at the box score from last year's Notre Dame game and let me know the rushing numbers for Le'Veon and the team overall. But one thing I worry about is how similarly built these teams are, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe A&M had problems running on them. I know it's a different defensive line.
Yeah.
But if...
No Riley Mills, no Howard Cross III.
But if they're Notre Dame...
Jack Kaiser's their middle linebacker, he's not there.
Under Marcus Freeman's defensive coordinator and his head, they've been very hard to run on no matter who the personnel is, right? So that worries me. Now, and Jeremiah Love was able to run on A&M last year.
In the fourth quarter.
Right? In that offensive lines, for a lot of those guys' first real start. Do you have those numbers in front of you?
Le'Veon Moss had 20 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown against Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love had 14 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown, and then Riley Leonard had 12 carries for 63.
And I believe Connor didn't have anything, right?
Connor had 7 carries for 26 yards and was the team's second leading rusher.
So overall, how many rushing yards did A&M have?
146 on 38 carries for an average of 3.8 yards a carry.
They need to get about 200 yards on the ground, right?
Unless they're throwing the ball well.
Well, there's that.
And unless their defense plays much better.
So that worries me a little bit about two teams that I think are very evenly matched. Even though I would take our running back room, we had a hard time running on them last season. Doesn't mean that's going to translate this year. Growth, all the good stuff, right? And I think they're going to be, even though there'll be a younger team at quarterback and some interesting positions, they will be more battle tested at that point because they did open up with Miami.
Yeah.
But A&M will have 2 games under their belt at that point. Notre Dame will have 1.
Right. I expect Notre Dame to be good. I don't expect them to be as good as they were last year. And, they got a Heisman Trophy winner at running back. But this is the funny thing that it gets me is last year the Domers were talking about, how excited they were about Riley Leonard and Riley Leonard this and what a gamer he was. And he makes a difference in these ways. It's not all about the stats. And now, he didn't have that great of stats. So the next guy is going to be fine. Like, wait a minute, but you said it wasn't all about the stats. And then, you're telling me last year.
Can't both things be true, though?
Huh?
Can't both things be true? Like,
look, I want a guy like Riley Leonard as my quarterback over a guy that hadn't played. I don't care who your grandfather is. Okay. Carr may be great, but Riley Leonard was proven. And again, what he did was he had this knack that not everybody has of if it was 3rd and 4, he would find a way to get 5.
Let me...
gamer. When it mattered the most, he played well.
I got a little optimism right here. Okay. DJ Lagway, we'd all agree, was pretty good last year, right?
Yeah.
Remember early on in his career what defense he faced and didn't look so great?
Yeah, it's the Texas A&M.
Huh. Just let that sink in for a minute.
Back when the Aggies were rushed. You know what? You know what I'm really optimistic about as far as that pass rush is it doesn't necessarily have to come from all the defensive linemen and ends, because when Elko was the defensive coordinator before, I talked about that knack, he had that knack of dialing up the right blitz at the right time, and you never knew where it was coming from.
Yeah.
I think he'll do that again.
The other thing I wanted to bring up about the schedule and that prediction is, and I think Billy brought it up on a different point, but I can use it here. Let's use that same analysis when we talk about A&M's opponents when we look at A&M, right? So one of the things Elko said was going on the road in the SEC, very tough, hard to win, right? We know that, and it's different.
Ask those LSU Tigers.
If it's at night, it's going to be tough. Okay. Well, I don't remember which games are at night in the afternoon. I think some of them are like they have 2 different windows. But coming here to Kyle Field at night should be difficult. And maybe that's why the A&M Texas game was as close, even though Texas ran on A&M and they were able to move the ball. The score is the score. Mm-hmm. A&M was not able to score a touchdown. We recognize that. Offensive touch, right? We recognize that. But there's a reason that game was, I don't know if in doubt, had a chance to be in doubt with 6 minutes left.
Well, if you score from the 1 yard line, it's in doubt.
Yep.
Now, did Texas outplay Texas A&M?
100%.
Yes. Were they better than Texas A&M? Yes. But did A&M have their opportunities to actually pull off an upset? Yes. But you just got to make the plays that are there to be made.
So I went on SEC Mike's show and cousin Shane when we were in SEC Media Days, and they posted a clip from it. I haven't listened to the entire clip because I don't. I know what it's about. I think I made a comment towards it because I saw what people were commenting. I made a comment about the Elko era, and like at Texas, it's about the Lamborghinis, and that's fine. That works for you. And at A&M, it's about the Ford pickup. And
okay.
I gave a story that I think Bronny told us, maybe Liucci did, about Elko going to visit a coach in Houston, and he's like, hey, have your entourage bring you to the back, right? And Elko's like, entourage, I'm just me and my truck. And that's kind of, I think, how Texas A&M is now, right? It's not about the flash. I had a dude, and I'm not going to come at me and saying, you must not know history. Didn't you guys have Kevin Sumlin who would use the swag copter? And yeah, by the way, some teams used to run the wishbone and they don't run them anymore. It doesn't mean that that's your identity for the history of time.
For the rest of your life.
Right? There was a time I had earrings. I would panic if my kids had earrings right now.
I had an earring for about a week once.
And you were 50. How old were you?
Oh, I was somewhere in my 30s.
We're allowed to change and evolve, and I think that's what makes Coach Elko the right fit for A&M, by the way, is that I feel like we're getting back to that. And by the way, I loved the swag copter at the time. When something works, I'm all in, okay? I like it. You're throwing down the field with Johnny Football? That was exciting. I loved it. He was flash. I like what works. And right now, what I think will work for A&M is that blue-collar mentality. Let's get our hands in the dirt. Let's go.
I agree with all that. I don't mind mixing blue-collar mentality with a little swag.
I'll take a Lamborghini if they offer.
But you know what? I don't care how you go about it, is what you're saying. I don't care how you go about it as long as you win.
Just go about it.
Just go about it.
Another shirt. One day, CC Creation is going to be listening. Kenny's going to be like, I think all those shirts need to be sold.
I had a young man approach me at the after the kickoff, and apparently he has a T-shirt company, and he wanted to use something I said on the air on a T-shirt.
Okay.
And he was asking if it was okay. I'm like, yeah. So whatever you make, the royalty will be a shirt. Give me a shirt. So
I don't know the rules.
So he can probably help you out on this.
All right. We got a lot of shirt ideas.
Okay.
What was the one earlier? We hope, we do?
We hope we do. We do because we hope because we do. I don't know.
By the way, typically, we're at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. But OB's wearing a Speedo today, which, he doesn't want to show his hairy legs. That's fine. But that's where we typically hang out at the first segment of the program. That's all right.
Yeah, fine.
Holistic Planning peeps were there at the event.
They were.
Preseason kickoff. Yeah.
We appreciate their sponsors.
Yeah, they're awesome. And so they were there. As everybody. The Rollos were there, or Jason Rollo and his crew were there. Keith was there. Morgan was there. It was great. We had a lot of our great sponsors. So Raw Insurance Studio, TexAgs Live presented by. I switched the order up on you.
David Gardner's Jewelers.
Yeah, that's right. And then if you were to get TexAgs swag, like that awesome hat, the backwards hat, the black, the white, all of them, where would you get it at?
CC Creations.
Because this is the go
warehouse.
hour.
Yeah, it is the go hour.
Yeah, we're so late.
Aren't we always?
Yeah. Or never mind. No jokes there. Let's do this. We'll check in with the people after this segment. So I'll check in with you, Reese, and Nick here in a moment. So my buddy Morgan.
Yeah.
From Rollo Insurance. Mm-hmm. We have our annual, let's talk football. I told you guys on Friday. He texted me sometimes. I left him on red. Poor guy is waiting for me to respond. It's coming. It might be this week, Morgan, but we're going to go and we're going to eat at 1775 because I like to eat meat.
You're a carnivore. I'm a carnivore. We're all carnivores, so most of us, right-thinking folks. And if you want to just have the carnivorous, the most magnificent carnivorous experience, you just drive towards Snook, not all the way to Snook, because it's just they're on the left.
Right.
1775. It's amazing.
All right. I say pick 2 meats for me.
All right.
All right. And you can't pick turkey because I know you like to pick turkey with me.
All right. Well, I would always go with the brisket, that succulent brisket. And then I'm telling you that jalapeno cheese sausage is amazing.
Yeah. So good.
But then you leave out the pork ribs.
You can't leave it out.
You can't.
You got to have 3.
Yeah. But then you still got the turkey.
I guess you got to have 4. You got to have 4 on your plate.
It's like your lunch and his family. You got to go for all 4.
You got to go all 4.
You got to love all those different entrees the way he loves all 4 of his kids.
By the way, I saw the Fantastic Four. It was all right. 1775.
The Fantastic Four is that succulent brisket.
Yeah.
That jalapeno cheese sausage.
Yeah.
The pork ribs.
Yeah.
And that turkey. Fantastic Four.
Can you tell me who the 4 people are on the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Girl, the Human Torch, and the Thing. It's clobbering time.
At 1775. Hey everyone, David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically we start off the show in this section and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The Cool Zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and they keep it, they'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned. But they also do something else.
Yeah, well, if you are, say, a sports fan, and you've always wanted to...
Everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, you know what I'm happy about?
I know you're happy about a lot of things.
Yeah, I am. I'm really happy about real content.
Okay.
Practice starts this week. It's like a midnight practice on Wednesday. It's not midnight. It's like 6:30. But
we're going to be doing a press conference around 9.
Yeah, you guys will have fun. I can't fall asleep in the press conference.
Thursday, I'm going to be here Thursday morning. Like,
Opie, what are you talking about? You wake up at 3 a.m. and go run 9 miles or walk it or whatever you do.
I walk, run 3.
Okay.
At preferably at 5.
Okay, but you wake up a lot at 3:30.
I do, unfortunately.
I was very disappointed in myself on Saturday morning.
Why so?
Body clock woke me up at 5:30 a.m.
Okay.
Like, I would like to at least sleep in a little bit, but it just woke me up at 5:30 on a Saturday.
But you were ready to go.
I did run 5 miles. Billy says, you didn't work out today. Yeah, I ran 5 miles before 9 a.m., buddy. Actually, before 7 a.m. So, anyway, I was very slow. I'm not a good runner. But you know who is a good runner?
Who?
Nick Savage. He was running back and forth at the preseason kickoff from, like, helping out the TV crew, running up to do a speech. He was great. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. And, hey, OB, you said something earlier that got me thinking, you said blue collar with a little bit of swag. The A&M football team just needs to follow you around all day, and they'll learn all they need to know.
Okay.
Explain.
OB's a little blue collar with a little bit of swag. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay.
You're blue collar.
I had no idea I had any swag.
Yeah, I didn't either, actually. This is surprising to me. Quinn probably agrees with me, too.
Oh, your kids always are your worst critics, right?
Apparently, Billy, I shouldn't let this out. Well, you don't know this was let out. My girls go, Mr. Liucci asked if you embarrass us, Dad. I go, what'd you say? Yeah. And I go, do I embarrass you? No, but I thought it fit with Billy there. So anyway, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Nygren, Reese Nygren.
From LaGrange.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
It's a morning.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday. It's one of the best Mondays I've had, though. Mondays, I'm kind of like, I'm awake.
That's good. So let's go out to the track where Pat Henry and the Aggies men's track and field team landed All-American thrower Henry Zimmerman from Nebraska. The senior thrower was an All-American at the weight throw in the 2024 indoor season and 2025 outdoor season. Zimmerman holds the Nebraska school record for the weight throw, throwing 75 feet 2 inches. Pretty impressive stuff.
So the national champions just get better?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I'm sorry. So that was a championship in what event?
The weight throw.
The weight throw.
Yeah. So I looked it up. It's a 35-pound weight that you like spin around and throw it like the discus.
Okay. Oh, we should do that at TexAgs.
And you just.
That's something I'm not familiar with. I'm familiar with the hammer.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the discus, obviously. And shot.
And the weight.
I didn't know the weight.
Now the weight throw.
Is it spelled? How's it spelled?
Weight,
like real weight?
W-E-I-G-H-T, yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Well,
the more you know.
Great. Maybe he can win the weight throw for A&M.
Add another one to the tally. On the baseball front, former Aggie outfielder Braden Montgomery got the call up to Double-A Sunday evening to play for the Birmingham Barons. The switch-hitting outfielder boasted a .260 batting average with a .348 on-base percentage and 8 homers across 68 games for the Single-A Winston-Salem Dash.
Good stuff. Awesome stuff. Let's do this, OB, since we went so long on the first one.
Okay.
Let's hit a break. And then when we come back, 25 and 25.
I'm looking forward to this one.
This one, here's the hint. Run, Forrest, run. That's not even a good hint, but it's about somebody who runs.
Yeah, he does.
In football, a lot of people run.
But this guy runs really well.
And he's done it for a couple of years. Text in at 979-693-1150 if you know who we're talking about. All right, let's talk about the Daily Company. They offer HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and generator services available 24/7. They're family-owned and they're licensed, and they want to take care of you with all your thermostat repairs, the refrigerant leaks, the furnace failures, the seasonal tune-ups. Also on the plumbing side of things, leak repairs, clog drains, water heater installation, maintenance to keep those pipes in top shape. They'll take care of your electrical wiring, your outlet repairs, your upgrades for safety and efficiency. And, of course, you got a generator, they got you. They'll repair it. They can put it in. They can install it. They can ensure for preparedness for power outages. They serve all of Bryan College Station, Houston, and Austin with upfront pricing and no surprises. Contact the Daily Company at 979-260-2020, 979-260-2020, or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. And we are back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. So we had a little bit of news on Friday.
Yeah.
So let's go behind the glass.
Just a little bit.
Talk to Nick Savage. Nick, what news happened on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, so Evan Jacobson, a 6'7", 220-pound tight end out of Iowa, committed to Texas A&M. 27th commit in the 2026 class. And just looking at the measurables, looking at the tape, he looks like a really good get. And Matthew Dawson reliably informs me that any 6'7" tight end from Iowa you're getting, it's probably a good get. So
probably a really good get.
Yeah.
Iowa turns out tight ends, good tight ends.
Well, what was your line at PKO? Like, he's turned out to be a really good coach and looks like he's a really good recruiter.
Hell of a recruiter.
Yeah.
Number 3 right now in the country. And, last week got a 4-star guy from Mississippi, now a 4-star guy from Iowa. And they're spanning the country to get top prospects.
Top prospects. 25 and 25, presented by La Casa Tequila, raised in Aggieland, rooted in the SEC. Number 20, OB, is
Amari Daniels.
Love Amari Daniels.
The very reliable Amari Daniels. You know what? There's a lot of things to love about Amari Daniels, like that 50-yard touchdown run against South Carolina last year. I think 2 years ago he had like a 55-yard run against Auburn to nail it down. He's an explosive guy, and yet he's a guy that typically has been in a backup role. And he can obviously play. He could go in the transfer portal and find a place to start. He's that good. But he's behind Le'Veon Moss and maybe Reuben Owens, but he stays. This is his 5th season here. He stays. That alone is enough to love this guy. The fact that he has this ability, breakaway ability, and yet he doesn't go into the transfer portal and say, all right, I want to go this place because I'm going to play more. A&M obviously means something to him.
Yep. 139 carries,
good.
661 yards, and 8 touchdowns were his rushing stats from last season. A lot more on Amari Daniels on 25 and 25. Number 20, Amari, I already said his name, when Billy is on the show. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know we had some commentary on the YouTube page and some chats, or text line, I should say. Mr. Nygren, what do you have?
Henry Anderson on the YouTube page said, do we have 2024 South Carolina or Auburn game equivalents on our schedule this year?
Like games on the road that scare us?
Yeah, late in this season.
I asked Billy, like, where were scary games yesterday on our Luchador, which, by the way, it was released for our premium subscribers yesterday. At some point today, it'll be released for everybody to listen to it.
It's out right now.
It is out? Okay, so if you are not a premium subscriber, you can check it out. We talked about, it's not late in the season, but the Arkansas game, OB, worries Billy, as it should, because that even though A&M has dominated that series the last 12, 13 years, it's the fact that going on the road for the first time in Arkansas, probably at night, potentially at night, could be a very scary proposition.
Well, of course it's going to be, because you've been playing them in Jerry World, and even when Arkansas is really bad, I used to call them our Kansas, but now Kansas got good, so I can't use that.
Yep.
But even when they were our Kansas, not Arkansas, A&M struggled to beat them typically.
Yeah.
You know, how many games went into overtime, and then how many games came down to a last play or a missed field goal, right? So, yeah, that's one. Missouri's one.
Missouri's got to be one. I think Missouri has to be one. But if you listen to what Eli Drinkowitz said at SEC Media Days, and I believe this week, whenever they reported, he said there is a quarterback battle still going on.
Yeah, that's kind of surprised me. Look, Mike Elko, you already referenced it earlier this morning, and Mike Elko said it on Saturday. It's the SEC. Every game, especially at night, but every road game is treacherous.
Yep.
I've told you the story. We all remember 3 years ago, A&M 4-7, looking terrible.
Yep.
LSU is going to play for the SEC championship. They came in here. I had frat boys from LSU in my house. I kept telling them, look, I know you think you're going to win. You probably will, but it's a road game in the SEC. And then Devon A-Chain ran all over them, and A&M pissed in their Cheerios, Jalen Preston. So you can't take any SEC road game for granted.
You're 100% correct. Reese, what else do you have for us, buddy?
We had an anonymous texter send in, one of these analysts is bound to be right one of these years on their bold A&M predictions.
Well, let's hope it's this year, and let's hope it's that analyst that you referenced earlier.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to believe in the process. Again, I'm going coach speak for you, but I'm going to believe that until I have a reason not to believe, I'm going to believe that that Coach Elko is building something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to see how it plays out with hopeful optimism.
And I'm going to be hopefully optimistic and all those things, but I'm going to, until they give me a reason or until they show me different, I'm going to say, well, they're probably going to go 8-4. But I'm optimistic. I like this coach, I like this team, I like that quarterback. But you got to show me that you're the team that, no matter on the road or at home, when you've got in a close game, you're going to make those plays to win.
The biggest key to being better than 8-4, if you could boil it down to one bullet point, what would that be?
Well, because I can't just say defense, because that'd be one. So I'll say pass defense.
And what about Marcel's ability to throw downfield?
I think Marcel has the ability to throw downfield. I think he demonstrated that. Do I think Marcel has to be better? Absolutely. Do I think he will be better? Yes, I do. But you said if I had to boil it down to one thing,
right,
I'm going to say, well, where do I think they lacked the most last year? And I'd say in the pass coverage. So you can win. Well, you saw that you can win with Marcel last year. So, I think they can win. I think that's not as big of a concern as the pass defense.
You see that Deion Sanders is going to have a press conference today.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that.
He's going to be joined by his medical team. It's going to be about the team, the Colorado football team, and his health. I don't think he's retiring. There's some people speculating that Deion might retire. Again, none of us know what he's going through, right? It hasn't leaked or anything. I don't think he's going to retire this close to the season. That's just my guess at the moment. And I saw a thread on TexAgs. What would that mean to their players? Can they leave immediately?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Can you double check that rule? I don't think they can, but maybe there's something I don't know. But I think he's going to just tell us what he's been dealing with and how crazy of a year it was, and his medical team will kind of explain what they had to do. And hey, I'm expecting him to be all in for this football season.
Deion's a different guy. Typically, you don't call a press conference and say, hey, I'm going to be coaching this year.
That's true.
Because we expect you to be coaching this year. So he may not retire, but that tells me
maybe he takes a lesser role.
What if he has to sit out a year? That's happened before. A coach has had to. I remember one up in Indiana 15 years ago, whatever. You gotta, you have some health issues and you have to take a year off, and somebody else coaches, and then you come back.
I forget if Warren Sapp is still on his staff, and there was somebody else who signed with him. Oh, Marshall Faulk. I think Marshall Faulk's one of his coaches as well, I believe. So I don't know. I don't know if that were to be the case, who would take that mantle.
Look, I hope. Look, Deion does things different, so I hope he is. I don't want anybody to be sick. I don't want anybody to, life to be in danger or anything like that. And quite frankly, he helped my team win a Super Bowl, so I'm cool with him.
We like sports villains because it makes college sports or all sports fun, right? There's a lot of entertaining things about Deion. I'm intrigued by him as a player, as a coach. I also don't agree with everything, and that's okay. It's okay.
I think Reese has some information for you.
Yeah, if a head coach leaves, retires, or is fired, NCAA rules grant college athletes an additional 30-day window to enter the transfer portal.
For that year?
It says regardless of the regular transfer window.
Because
it tells me that if he steps down or whatever, then yes, Colorado players can look elsewhere.
But I would assume if it happened in October, they can't leave and go
That's probably true, yes.
Yeah.
Right? So I would assume it kind of depends on the timing. I got to assume that. Because the thread on TexAgs was speculating
Traylon Miller.
players that could come here.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm not going to, I'm assuming either he's going to step away for the year and reevaluate at the end of it. It would hurt Colorado too much for him to step down right now.
Right. Again, you don't typically throw a news conference to say, "Hey, everything's the same." But it's Deion, so he could say, "Hey, I was sick, and I've been through it, and I'm having this press conference to tell you that I've recovered, and I'm fine,
back.
and we're going to be great."
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live OB, I have a interesting topic. Barry Trammell was on with cousin Shane. And he's a good buddy of yours. We need to get him on the show. He has an idea that I think was floated to him that he likes for the future of college football. I'm going to throw that one out at you. Okay. All right, Rollo Insurance. I told you that Jason and the team were there at our preseason kickoff. They are the best insurance providers in the area and all around Texas. They got over 60 offices here in Texas. The difference is real. They want to make sure that you know that they're not an automated system. You're going to get your agent's personal cell phone number, and they're going to take great care of you, whatever your situation may be, whether home, auto, business, or ranch. You start a relationship with an expert who puts you first. They become familiar with your specific situation, and they provide a customized plan just for you and your family. When you need advice or have a claim, you speak directly with someone who knows you by name and texts you, by the way. The difference is real with Rollo Insurance. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. It's Rollo Insurance. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olsen wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour coming to a close here, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. So here's Barry Trammell. He was on with, I'm not going to play his sound, but he was on with Cousin Shane. And his idea, OB, which I was kind of intrigued by because it sounds something similar. It's actually a better version of what I proposed to you a while back. He says, you want to fix the regular season in college football? 9 conference games,
Okay.
then 1 game versus the other 3 conferences.
There you go.
So you get a game against the ACC, get a game against the Big 12, you get a game against the Big 10 every year. And now all 12 games are of high value.
Fine. I'm fine with it. Now, you know who'd hate that?
The SEC coaches?
Well, among others, but all the
smaller schools.
FCS programs.
Right.
Because they make all their money and they fund their teams by playing, big time opponents.
Then what you do is you do a spring football season for 3 games against those teams, where A&M allows their backups to play. Yeah,
but you're not going to get $1 million, $1.5 million, and sometimes even more than that.
Okay, then you get 0. It's like, all right, guys, this is what we can do for you. You won't get $1.5 million. We'll pay you $500,000 for a couple spring games.
See, I think they should. I think it's fine that I don't hate that Barry's idea. I think it's fine to play an FCS opponent. I think there should be a rule that your FCS opponent has to come from your state or a bordering state.
I like that. OB.
But probably from your state, probably in your system. Like Texas A&M should play, if they're going to do that, play Prairie View, play West, I guess they call it West Texas A&M, East Texas A&M, whatever the one that's called in Kingsville now. Used to be A&I.
A&M Kingsville, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's A&M Kingsville. Anyway.
A&I till I die.
We would just have to reevaluate what we look at a great season, right? Because if you add that much high-level games, I think the years of 11-1 and 10-2, they'll still be excellent teams, just like there are in the NFL. But it won't be as common to win 9 and 8 games, I guess, is my point for that second tier.
9 games will be, if you're 10 wins, will even be more impressive than it is now. It'll happen. I mean, we've seen teams go with 1 loss and even undefeated in the NFL.
Yep.
So it'll happen, but you won't have as many 10-win teams, and that's okay.
So in the next hour, we're going to talk a little business of sports. We're going to have Amanda Christovich from Front Office Sports talk a little bit about President Trump's executive order, what it really means for the future of college football, and what has to happen next. So we'll talk to an expert
Interesting
on that.
to hear that.
Yeah, so we'll do that. OB?
Yep.
We had a good Friday show, a good Monday show, man. Football season's here.
It's here.
Yeah. And Billy will be on
it's
the program.
Playoffs of talking season.
When do we get to the regular season of the football season? Oh, that's coming up at the end of August.
Yeah, end of August.
What are we, a month away?
Just about 33 days till kickoff.
Thank you, OB.
Yep.
When we come back, I already told you, so I don't need to tell you again. You know what show you're listening to. So we'll see you in a bit. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner, Schuler's Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little business of sports. And we go to the Bubby's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Amanda Christovich of Front Office Sports joining us here on the program. Amanda, what's up?
How's it going?
It's going all right. So I wanted to talk with you about, I don't think it got lost in the news, but there's a lot of stuff happening. And I feel like the future of college sports and NIL and the House settlement, I feel like it's one of these stories that, like, okay, we've heard it, whatever, right? But I feel like the Trump news that was kind of alluded to for over a month now that it came out. So help me understand in plain terms what President Trump is trying to do with the executive order.
Yeah. I think the most important thing to understand is that with a lot of these executive orders, Trump isn't really like making concrete change because he doesn't really have the power to do so through executive order. What he is doing is endorsing the NCAA's agenda with what they want to do in Congress, with the types of changes that they hope to see. They want protections from Congress so that, they won't get sued all the time. They want to like set transfer rules and eligibility rules and compensation limits, right? But they can't do that right now. So they're asking Congress for legal protection. They're also asking Congress for athletes to be amateurs, not employees, and then, among some other things. But to me, those are the two most important things. Trump doesn't have the power to do those things through executive order. But what he did in the executive order was sort of lay out what he really that he believes that those issues, like he's on the NCAA's side there. He wrote that he wanted to prohibit pay for play third-party deals. That made a lot of headlines. Like he doesn't really have the authority to do that. So nothing's really going to change there from a concrete perspective. But at this point, for better or worse, Trump has endorsed the NCAA's playbook. So now it has become, a partisan issue, and we'll see how that plays out in Congress.
So is it more of, hey, this is what I want, and also I got a lot of buddies that I care for, and I want Nick Saban and the rest of the guys to know I got their back on this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, President Trump hasn't said anything really at all about these athlete compensation issues for the past few years. And we've all been kind of waiting for him to come out with a stance. And this is like the first time that we have a concrete understanding of what he wants and what he believes. And the reason for that is most likely because he sees some sort of political benefit to doing so. And it's been brought to his attention, like you said, through Nick Saban. I mean, Cody Campbell, who is the big Texas Tech booster and the chairman of their board of regents. Like he's, been in Trump's ear a lot too, according to several reports. So I think at this point, it's become clear to President Trump that a large swath of the country cares about this. So it's worth it for him to weigh in. Have you heard how it, partisan issue that it is? Is it like, all right, now that Trump's involved, I'm all in, or now I'm all out? Like, or is this something that you think, because wasn't Booker involved in something not too long ago on the left side, right? Like, I feel like there's conversations on both sides of this. So what has been bipartisan for several years now has been criticizing the NCAA. That's one of the few things in this country everyone seems to be able to agree on. But the issues that they're looking at now about these antitrust protections, giving the NCAA this power to control a labor market without collectively bargaining, and then taking away players' rights to collectively bargain by saying that they're not employees, those have become partisan issues because they sort of line up with the larger pro-labor versus anti-labor political divide. So for a while, Trump didn't make this partisan. Like, it's already been partisan. Senators led by Ted Cruz in the Senate have been negotiating. Senator Booker, Senator Blumenthal, they're Democrats. Obviously, they've been negotiating with Senator Ted Cruz and others to try to come up with a bipartisan solution for college athlete compensation and NIL, et cetera. But they haven't been able to, which is part of the reason that the congressional legislation outside of Trump's executive order that I've been following the last few weeks came from the House. So Trump didn't make it partisan, but I was told by at least one lobbyist a few weeks ago, basically like, hey, like Trump weighing in makes it even more partisan than it was before. And for purely nothing other than optics, a lot of Democrats who may have not been very interested or involved in this issue before may see Trump take a side and then immediately want to take the opposite side just because it's Trump. So it's not clear that this is actually going to benefit the NCAA in the long run, because what they really want is a law. And you can't really do that without some sort of bipartisan support at this point.
At what point, and I think it's already hit at some places, but like, does this become a thing at the high school level, right? Like this pay for play that I think most people are against, but they also recognize, well, we shouldn't take advantage of these student athletes. Not most people are against, but many people are against. People see why these athletes should be getting paid, but then the third party, right. Does that permeate to the high school level, you think, at some point?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's already there in a lot of regards, obviously with recruiting. I mean, the transfer portal, as we've all been talking about, I feel like nonstop for the past year or two, has made it much less important to be recruiting through the high school realm, right? Like, it's much more important to recruit through the portal. However, if you're recruiting, your high school athletes, even middle school athletes, or, what have you, based on the rules of the sport, obviously, NIL is a question that every player is asking about. So what is my NIL package going to be if I come to your school in 2, 3, 4 years? Like, that's arguably already pay for play. So I think it's already there. And obviously, third-party endorsements are already in high school too. Nike signed high school athletes. Like, we've all seen that. So I think the question becomes, it's like, if you can regulate pay for play, or you can regulate NIL at the collegiate level, that's the most important thing, because where the pay for play comes in high school is really more about recruiting than it is about like within the high school system, if that makes sense. So
doesn't it feels like the House settlement was supposed to kind of fix this, right? Like the House settlement, we got, the Deloitte and Go, right, NIL and Go situation. And then was it 10 days ago, a couple weeks ago, like, well, by the way, these third parties can, still spend money. So wasn't it kind of supposed to be fixed, but we knew there were some cracks in the dam?
Well, isn't that funny? Because that's how it was marketed to the public, right? That it was supposed to fix all of these issues and provide clarity and regulation and stability was like the word that everyone was using. But it didn't, because if anything, it's created more problems from a pay-for-play perspective, because now, as you mentioned, the clearinghouse that was created through the House settlement to adjudicate whether or not an NIL deal is real or pay-for-play has run into some snags. At the very least, there have been delays that have caused players to lose opportunities to do deals because they haven't heard back whether or not their deal would be approved in time. And then at the most, NIL Go came out and said, any deals that involve, a collective paying a player to do something for the collective, not for a third party brand, we're not going to consider those legitimate. So that was news to most of the collective industry. And it was also news to the House plaintiff attorneys who are now fighting that. I've reported as well as others that there's this basic agreement or understanding that they're not going to be able to do that going forward. They're not going to be able to legally to prevent NIL collectives from operating at all. You can't say it's not a valid business purpose for a collective to pay a player to show up to an autograph signing. Like, that's not going to hold up in court, but we're still waiting on exactly what the rules are going to be. And so it's unbelievable that a month and a half or almost 2 months into the House settlement, we still don't have clarity on some of the most key components of what these regulations are.
Is it a fair way to say that, look, football is going to be fine regardless, right? Like there's the $20.5 million. Players are going to get some of that cut, a big portion of it. But who really benefits from this is the other sports, because you have to divvy up that money. And NIL dollars are still going to be NIL dollars. So even if you get something from your school or not, if you are a marquee football player, you're still going to get the same opportunities on the NIL front.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that the market in the post-House settlement era is going to really be detrimental to players because, again, legally, like you just can't. This idea that they want to like get collectives completely out of the paying players business, like that's just not going to work legally. All the collectives are ready to file lawsuits, so that's not going to work. But I do want to say that like it's not just football players, like because you have a cap on revenue sharing, most of that money is going to football. So, and like third-party NIL deals are really going to be benefiting the other sports like basketball, softball, baseball, these other big sports that aren't, that have big-time recruiting and big-time players, but they're not going to get revenue sharing dollars because football is going to gobble it all up. Like if you take the ability away from schools to make sure that those players on those other teams get paid, it's the Olympic sports athletes who are going to suffer, not the football players.
Talking to Amanda Christovich here on TexAgs Live. All right, Amanda, what about with the NBA Players Association and the NFL and MLB, ML, everybody had that joint statement a couple weeks back. Is that going to move the needle at all?
It hasn't so far. All of these professional players associations endorsing collective bargaining for college athletes isn't necessarily new. I believe they did that a year ago, but it's interesting how the first time around it really flew under the radar. So it's not necessarily a new position, but I'm not sure it's going to move the needle because it doesn't seem to me that these professional players associations are interested in actually getting involved in helping athletes organize and fight for collective bargaining rights. The folks who are trying to do that aren't, I've been told for the past few years, haven't been able to get the assistance of these players associations for whatever reason. Obviously, if you're being cynical about it, it benefits a players association to have the college athletes collectively bargain because then they're going to be more willing to collectively bargain in the pros when they get there, right? It's an easier pipeline. But I think it also is a statement that just like makes sense. If you're the NFLPA, why wouldn't you come out in favor of, especially power conference football players collectively bargaining when they're basically in a, younger version of the NFL anyway? But no, I don't really think it's going to move the needle. I do think it could pique the interest of some Senate Democrats who may not be interested or care about college sports at all. But obviously many of them are very pro-labor. So they're like, oh, if the professional level unions are interested in this, maybe I should take their side. But again, I just think that they're one more voice. They're not really doing a ton of independent advocacy.
What's a timeline, realistic steps of what we could see? Because I feel like we had that July 1st, or ended up being a little bit later, of the House settlement. But then, what are the realistic steps from here? What you think is the next potential benchmark?
So we have to get this new guidance figured out with NIL Go and what deals are going to be approved and denied. And that better happen in the next week or two. So that's the first thing. The Congress is going to be on a recess in August. So in the early fall, it's possible that the SCORE Act, which is the big sort of pro-NCAA bill that Trump was sort of endorsing through executive action, that could be brought to the House floor in the early fall. And then, of course, it gets kicked to the Senate. And then it's anybody's guess how long it takes to wind through that bureaucratic labyrinth, frankly. So I would say in the immediacy, the most important thing is this NIL Go guidance, because that is what is going to dictate what schools are going to be able to do from a recruiting perspective for next season, right? You have to remember that all the rosters that we're going to see this year are the pre-House settlement rosters because everyone front-loaded their NIL deals so that they wouldn't be in this clearinghouse. So they did all that before the House settlement started. So this is going to be about next season. Which is obviously very important if you're a coach or a GM and you're trying to recruit for next season.
All right, so the first couple of years of NIL from 21 on, it felt like wild, wild west. Now it feels like we're trying to put a little bit of structure in place, but it's not really there. It's like a movable fence. Do you foresee a realistic structure here in the next 3 to 5 years?
I do. I just don't know where it's going to come from. Is it going to come from the congressional side where the NCAA wins that battle that they've been fighting in Congress to get new laws written that protect them and give them the ability to set guardrails that frankly wouldn't be legal in any other industry, right? That's a possibility. I think it would have to be done during this Trump administration, though, or at least with Republicans controlling the House and Senate, even though technically with the filibuster, they don't really control the Senate. Anyway, but the other way is athletes could be declared employees and have collective bargaining rights. And then the NCAA could say, and college football conferences could say, okay, like, now that you can collectively bargain, we're going to do this like they do it in the NFL. We're going to come to the table, we're going to set rules, and then legally, we're going to be able to cap salaries, we're going to be able to set NIL rules and restrictions, right? Like there's a reason that Nike can't funnel money to an NFL player to entice the player to go to a certain team. Like that's through collective bargaining. So it'll probably happen one way or the other. I'm just not sure which way we're going to go. And that has a lot to do with the political wins and the federal courts.
What did you make of the Big Ten and ACC media days last week? It seemed like they had a think tank and they're like, we're going to go after the SEC. We're going to just talk. The coaches, like, it all felt like everybody was aligned and they all had similar visions and they all wanted to go after the SEC.
Yeah, what I thought was really, because I was at Big Ten media days, and what I found to be really interesting was that I didn't hear one coach criticize Tony Petitti's CFP model of, the 4-4-2-2-1 with giving the Big Ten and the SEC for automatic qualifiers. They were all like very in line, and it almost like sounded to me like there was like a meeting of the coaches with Tony Petitti where he was like, you better support me on this. And look, I'm not saying that happened. I have no evidence that it did, but I found that to be extremely interesting because the rest of the industry or the rest of the power conferences outside of the Big Ten are not in favor of that model ultimately. I wasn't at SEC media days. I didn't take a poll, but like, in general, right, ACC, Big 12.
Looks like we lost Amanda. Nick will let me know if we get her back. I thought that was very interesting because to me it seemed like a bit of fear from the Big Ten, right? Like the SEC and the rest of them are like, whatever, let's go. We'll get the 5 conference champions and, we think we can get 5 one year. We think we can get 6. We can get 4 every year. We had 3 last year under this model, but we think we can continue to get more. And it sounds to me, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, that the Big Ten is like, look, man, we'll just be happy to get 4 because we know we're a very top-heavy conference, and because it's just 4, we should be fine. So that's what it seems like to me. So I'm trying to understand why the Big Ten really thinks that, or if it's just a bargaining chip. So, and I think we've got Amanda back. We're almost out of time. Nick will tell me when she's good to go. So we'll just do maybe another minute or two with Amanda so we can kind of finish that thought. But I really feel like it was kind of this is the best we can do because we are a top-heavy conference. Amanda, so this is what I was thinking. And help me understand why Tony Petitti thinks that's the better model. Because the SEC is like, we think we can get 4, 5, 6 teams in a playoff at certain years. And
right.
And it feels like fear, and I could be wrong here, from the Big Ten, like, we'll be lucky to get 4. Let's just get 4 every year because we know we got 4 teams that every year should be in the mix, and we're guaranteed that. So is that why? Is it a bargaining chip? How did you kind of see why the Big Ten feels that that's the best path forward for them when everybody else is against?
Yeah, I mean, I had a brief one-on-one with Tony Petitti, and I sort of asked him about that and about what his sort of plan, his plan of attack from a lobbying perspective was to get Greg Sankey to agree to his model. And he basically just really emphasized his lack of faith in the selection committee. And so I think it's like, yes, there is a lot of fear involved in that, where, you're worried that the selection committee wouldn't give you 4, 5, 6 bids. But he was presenting it more as like an ideological issue of like, we just don't believe, this. He had this line that was like, the selection committee, any model that empowers the selection committee to make more decisions than fewer is not going to get support from the Big Ten. Obviously, I find that interesting, given that, everybody else generally seems to have no problem with giving the selection committee 11 opportunities, despite how much they criticize the selection committee. I think I'll leave it up to you and the listeners to decide if you think that that's a cop-out or a legitimate concern. But that was kind of like what he was hinging his approach on, was like, no selection committee. Let's just, let's take them out of this.
Amanda, great stuff. Thanks for making time. We'll do it again, okay?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Amanda Christovich. Front Office Sports does really good work there. We'll hit a break. We'll come back. Open segment. Toney Hurd Jr. after that. I told him we're going to focus on the DBs. I just want a breakdown of the DBs. So we'll do that here in a few minutes. We'll hit a break now. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're looking for a selection and you want to have a wide variety and you just want to have a great experience, you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Their inventory is growing daily, and they are south of those big city prices with no dealer add-ons. What you see is what you pay. They're locally owned. Aggie alumni team is ready to roll out the red carpet for you to have a first-class experience where you get an amazing selection, and then the customer service during and after the process is fantastic. Complimentary oil changes for the life of your vehicle as long as you own that car from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And, of course, they've got complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They are amazing. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Toney Hurd Jr. is going to join us in the next segment. He's early. Love that dude.
He's
right?
ready.
Like, when people come early, like, that's fantastic. Because sometimes athletes can be a little late.
Yeah.
But, he's got a coach's mentality. He's going to be early. Before we get to him, though, we got a couple topics I want to hit, and then we'll get straight to him. Before we get to you, okay? And we may get to the Pro Football Focus thing a little bit closer to when Billy's here.
That's fair.
But here's something that I saw on the boards. How hot is Brian Kelly's seat? And there's a tweet that from College Football Watcher. 2010, Brian Kelly gets to Notre Dame. Major bowl wins from 2010 to 2021. Notre Dame 0, LSU 4. 2021, Brian Kelly gets to LSU. Major bowl wins for Notre Dame 3, 0 for LSU. I don't think his seat is that hot. Here's what I want from A&M and our fans and our culture. Okay, this is what I want, but I'm not there yet. But this is what I want. I don't care who your coach is for the other teams.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's Sark, if it's Lane, if it's Pablo Escobar. I don't care because it's about what we do, not what you do. That's what I want. Don't get me wrong. We all love when our rivals struggle, right?
That's nice.
Like, there's times that I want the team that I hate to keep their coach hired. Win just one more game so you have to stay there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, win that game so you're still there for another year.
You kind of hate watch.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, but it shouldn't be about you. It should be about us. You can look at last year's A&M football schedule and be like, that team beat you fair and square. Sure, you could say that about a couple of those games. But how about we get to games where, like, it's not about us making mistakes, it's about your mistakes and we capitalize on them. That's what I want, right? So it's not about you. It's like, when you break up with somebody, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
No, I want the reverse. Yeah. It is you. You lost because you suck.
Wow.
And we win because we win. That's what I want. Give me one thing.
So today is Mike Elko's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Turns 21. 21st
I think
birthday.
I'm older than Coach Elko. I think.
Coach Elko.
You don't have to say his age.
I'm not going to.
You can tell me at the break, but I think I'm older than him.
I'm not going to say his age.
He's a little more accomplished. By a lot more accomplished. That's my guy. And I thought about joking with him at the PKO about his speed. I'm like, you don't really need another wide receiver.
No, throw Coach Elko out there.
He ran the bases well. I thought he was like, he didn't pull a hand. He was going.
It was impressive.
If I ran the bases in that speed, hammies both out.
Or wiping out on.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we'll hit a break. Toney Hurd Jr. We'll have to put a laugh track when he comes on because he's not going to laugh at my jokes. He might. You never know. I see him in the background. We'll get to Toney on the other side. Right now, whether you're chasing the birds at sunrise, casting lines on the bow, or sweating it out during a scorcher at Kyle Field, Duck Camp has got the gear to keep you cool and comfortable looking sharp no matter what those days feel like. I have it all, right? Long sleeve, short sleeve, shorts, hoodie, no hoodie, fishing, hunting, workout gear. I got it all, and I wear it all the time. And you should absolutely do it. The lightweight performance hoodie is awesome. No matter how hot it is, you'll want to wear it. It'll protect you. The scout shorts, the essential hoodie, the lightweight fishing. So whether you're gearing up for a hunt, fishing trip, or you're just trying to go to the gym or go to church, wherever it may be, let Duck Camp take care of you. Check it out, duckcamp.com, built for the outdoors, but designed for everything else. All right, we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. Toney Hurd Jr. is on the program to talk a little bit about the DBs. Tony, what's up, buddy?
How you doing today?
Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for making a few minutes. So we had Coach Elko at preseason kickoff, and he was asked about the issues with the secondary last year, and he recognized them, and they've worked on it. So I thought maybe it would be a good time for us to just kind of connect and get your thoughts on what you saw from that secondary. And I'll just start things off. What do you think the biggest issue defensively was last year, at least from a pass attack or stopping the pass attack?
I think two of the main issues last year. The first would be our lack of a pass rush. We were ranked 13th last year, and getting sacks. I think that's a main component. And then in the secondary, I think it was just a lack of communication. If you take a look at the film pre-snap, you rarely see guys doing signals, expressing what they're doing. What's the play call? What's the down and distance? So, pre-snap analysis is very important when it comes to the secondary. And when you flip the games on, you rarely see a lot of communication in the secondary. So I think that affects zone play, understanding the concepts, understanding what's to come, understanding what to expect in the secondary. So those were two main factors I believe that led to lackluster defense somewhat last year.
Tony, let me follow up with the pass rush. While I 100% agree with you, how much of it was just not finishing the play? That was one of the things that Coach Elko talked about was they had chances to get sacks. They just didn't finish. And, obviously we all think about the Lenore Sellers performance, but there were other ones out there where they just, a quarterback slipped away.
Yes. When you think about the defense last year, you think about Stewart and Nick Scarton, and you're thinking man, these guys are pass rush gurus, right? And we still had moments where we just didn't finish the rush. We didn't just finish all the way to the end of the play. With the athletes that we have, I think it would be easy for us to turn that switch on and, give us a full 8 to 10 seconds per play.
Talking to Toney Hurd Jr. here on TexAgs Live. Let's talk about some individual pieces and what you expect from them in 25. I think maybe their best defensive player last year was Will Lee, and he's back for another year. What do you think about Will Lee?
I think Will Lee brings a lot of athleticism to the game, strong in man coverage. He provides a lot of stability on the back end. He communicates well, a lot of energy, high energy guy. I think he's someone that we can very much so look forward to being drafted in the earlier rounds.
Des Ricks is a guy that, look, he was 17 when he got to Bama, got here with not a lot of experience, 5-star cornerback, struggled mightily in the USC game. But, when you're a young player, did we lose Toney Hurd? There he is.
I'm back. Yeah, we're back.
When you lose, when you're a young player with very limited experience, especially at a cornerback spot, how much growth can we expect from year one to year two from Des Ricks?
Honestly, man, most of it is mental. When you're at that age, your body's developing still, your strength, you're still developing, but mentally is the biggest asset that you need to apply to your game so you can take it to the next level. And, I hope that, he over this tenure of this offseason, I hope that he was able to get in some film, talk to the coaches more, understand pre-snap, what is he looking at, what is the checks, get more comfortable within the scheme. I'm hoping that he took that jump this year, and I think he'll have a great year too.
What about Julian Humphreys? A lot of excitement, a guy who played a lot of football for Georgia over the last couple of years. What do you think about his addition to this secondary?
He brings a lot of experience from a top program. I think, honestly, he should be expected to come compete, CB2, CB3. Nickel and dime, also, I think he should be ready to go. He's a guy that, high energy, great communication as well, like Will Lee. I think he'll be a great asset for our secondary.
Yeah, I hope so. And then Bryce Anderson, we did 25 and 25. I think he was on Friday. If not Friday, it was Thursday of last week. And he's a guy that showed so much promise early. Last year didn't have his best season. But we've seen him at a very high level before. Do you expect some good things from Bryce this year?
For sure. He's a Houston guy, man. I always expect big things from the Houston guys. He's very versatile, very physical. Even though he doesn't have the biggest stature, he kind of reminds me of myself. He's not afraid to come down and tackle someone. He's even exceptional in coverage, So I'm looking for him to have a really great season. This summer, I believe he took a big jump. You can tell in the spring game that he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Talking to Toney Hurd Jr. here on TexAgs Live. Dalton Brooks is a guy that Billy talked about yesterday on the Luchador podcast that, we need to see it more often, but we saw some flashes his first year starting last year. What did you see from Dalton Brooks? What do you expect from him this year?
Though he's not a household name, man, I think he's a steady contributor across the secondary. He's someone that, if his confidence continues to grow, the sky's the limit. You know what I mean? He's at a stage in his career right now where, everything is still fresh, so he needs to pick up as much as he can, learn as much as he can from the coaches, from the older players, and continue to just grow in his career, man. And I think, everything is in his hands. The sky's the limit.
So you feel overall the group has improved? I mean, we'll have to see how it all plays out, but from a talent perspective, from the kind of players that they brought in and from just more reps and more time together?
I think with Jordan Peterson at the helm, Coach Ish running the group, I think that those guys will have an exceptional year. They have some great leaders at the helm. They have some great leaders within the players. And, that's the biggest thing. Can the players lead the secondary? Because the coaches, they have, great background. That they're equipping the players with the right tools to be successful. But now I think it's time for the younger players and the older players to play like veterans.
How about the linebackers in coverage? What did you see from them last year, and what do you expect to see from them this year?
Last year, I think our linebackers actually played pretty good, actually, despite everything that was going on in the front end. I think our linebackers played pretty good. I think this year where they can improve is just continuing to get depth in the zone drops. In zone coverages is always a hole in the defense. So I would say just continue to drop and make sure that they're connected to the secondary so there's not voids in the defense.
Tony, last thing for you. You mentioned Jordan Peterson and Ish there. What about Coach Elko, who last year had to worry about starting a new program and let the others kind of, like Coach Bateman, focus on the defense? Now he's like, all right, look, we're going to let you guys be great at what you're great at, but I'm going to be doing the defense. What do you think that does for the defense?
Well, first and foremost, when your leader is a part of the defense, it just shows you, defense wins championships. The best teams that play in the playoffs, they have defensive-minded coaches. So, that puts A&M in a different category. We're focused on being strong defensively, and with Coach Elko being a former defensive coordinator, I think it all matches and links up well. I think they'll have a great energy, a great production next year. I think it'll be fun next year to watch our secondary and watch our defense fly around.
Tony, great stuff, man. We'll do it during the season, all right?
Yes, sir.
Great
talking to you. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Enjoy your time off. Toney Hurd Jr. here on TexAgs Live. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center and get a thought or two from Reese Nygren.
So I do have a few updates that we might get into and around Aggieland, but on the volleyball side, Texas A&M Volleyball's Afena Kaz Okpala was named to the U.S. Women's U23 National Confederation Pan American Cup team. The team opened up play with the sweep of the Dominican Republic on Sunday, and they will continue match play today against Suriname. And then former Aggie outfielder Jace Laviolette signed his first major league contract with the Cleveland Guardians this weekend for $4 million. This was the largest over-slot deal of 2025 first-rounders.
Good stuff, Reese. Appreciate that. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to do Around Aggieland. We'll get an update on everything happening. Maybe something similar, but maybe something new. You never know. And then we'll get to your text messages here on the program before Billy Liucci joins us. At the start of 10 o'clock, though, we'll do Around the SEC. I know Nick's got some great information because, you know what? Nick's feelings got hurt earlier. I cut him off. I didn't mean to. I thought he was done. He had more. And he's got way more later. He's smiling right now. That means he's not mad at me. Looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland? You should. It's awesome. When I go to Houston, I'm like, I don't like it here anymore like I used to. When I go to the big cities, I love living in Aggieland. And luckily, Billy Liucci called me for an awesome opportunity. And maybe there's an awesome opportunity for you to move back to the motherland if you check out the Association of Former Students. that has openings from time to time in many different departments. I've seen fundraising, I've seen sales, I've seen communications, I've seen it all. They are fantastic, and you should really consider trying to get an opportunity with them. They're the premier alumni association and the oldest organization in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss an opportunity to help out the association with Howdy socials, Aggie Rain Day, class reunions, and everything in between. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Around Aggieland. Callie Garner in the house. How was your preseason kickoff experience?
It was great.
You were pretty busy.
Had a lot of fun. I was, but it was good.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I was ready. All the speakers were awesome, but I was ready to run through a brick wall after Coach Bucky.
Weren't you? Yeah, he was great.
He was awesome. I've never heard him. Obviously we've had him on the show before, but that was a real sit down, genuine, authentic interview. And he knocked it out of the park in my opinion.
What do you think my favorite part of, there's two things he said. I've already talked about one of them. Not the Final Four comment. What do you think my favorite part was?
When
you know me.
Talked about his favorite basketball player?
Yeah. When he talked about Michael and the reasons for MJ being the best.
Yeah. I knew that was like.
That was like, oh, bro.
Tugging on your heart.
And it's not a shot at LeBron. It's just more the Michael, the mindset, right?
Yeah, for sure. I also think when people agree with you, it's just like, Makes you feel good, you know?
It does make me feel good.
Validate, especially someone like of his caliber in the basketball world.
And he didn't know that.
Validates your opinion a little
Now,
bit.
he didn't care too much for my commentary of the kind of players that I like. Ron Artest, which I don't even know if you were born for his era.
No, I wasn't.
Do you know what he's famous for?
You do this to me a lot.
I know. Niagara, do you know what Ron Artest is famous for?
Is it Malice at the Palace?
Yeah. Yeah. No fighting. No 50-year-old fights. I'm not saying I want to fight. I like the way Ron Artest played defense.
Okay.
All right. I love the way Draymond plays defense. I'm not saying I like when he kicks people in certain areas. Okay. I like the way those guys play defense, a commitment to defense. And you saw my commitment to Billy Liucci yesterday on defense.
That was crazy. You were very committed. You stood your ground. I was impressed.
Yeah, Billy's got some moves. I'll give that. Like Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Plays like him too. Anyway, what do you have for us on Around Aggieland?
Football season is officially in full swing as report date for the team is tomorrow, with the first practice of fall camp being Wednesday, and we are 33 days away from kickoff at Kyle. Texas A&M landed a verbal commitment from tight end Evan Jacobson on Friday. The 6'7", 230-pounder is one of the best prospects in the Midwest, and he chose the Aggies over Stanford, Notre Dame, and Iowa State. On the baseball front, the Aggies also landed a transfer commitment on Friday in catcher Blake Labuda out of UT Tyler. This past season, he hit .321 with 7 home runs and a .997 OPS, and he comes to Aggieland with 1 year of eligibility remaining, and the Aggies are not done on the transfer portal front, so stay tuned to the TexAgs transfer portal thread. Bronny has all the information you need there. And lastly, as Reese just touched on the volleyball front, middle blocker Infina Cazapala has been named to the U.S. Women's U23 national team for the Pan American Cup in Mexico. It's the first national team selection for Cazapala, who dominated in 2024 with 161 blocks and 228 kills while hitting .374, earning her All-America honors and spots on the AVCA Player of the Year watch list and the preseason All-SEC team. She joins 11 others representing Team USA in its first ever U23 Pan Am Cup appearance, featuring group play and knockout rounds to crown a champion.
Thank you very much, Galita. Appreciate you. Great stuff. Let's go back to Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I believe somebody's asking if we ever release our 25 and 25. We do, right?
I couldn't find the votes actually on there, but so I don't.
I feel like we've broken down where some of our I can tell you what mine were, where I had mine. I'll do that at the end of the 25 and 25. Stephen Walters, who I thought was a nice person, usually upset one less barbecue spot. No. Sir, we're a business. If you're a premium subscriber, a lot of that information that you're looking for, Stephen, which I'm sure you're cool, by the way, is on the TexAgs premium boards. Anyway, but I think Obi and I have kind of gone through what we've done. One exercise we've never done, which I don't know if we will, but it's an intriguing idea, is a revisit of our rankings at the end of the season.
That's a good idea.
Right? Because Marco Jones was what, 21, right? Mm-hmm. Would it surprise anybody at the end of the season if Marco Jones is 14, 15?
No.
Right? Wherever Marcel ends up, wherever Casey Concepcion ends up, hopefully all of them end up higher.
Yeah.
Who's ever number one? Hopefully there's I know who I voted for number one, right? Hopefully there's competition for that number one, right? Hopefully there's 3, 4, 5 guys you know what? I've done this exercise before where I've had to go back and forth and this offensive lineman or this guy or it becomes, and that's what I hope. How many offensive linemen do you get in the top 10? Where's the highest defensive lineman go? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all, I think, interesting questions. Where does the highest defensive player go? Is he 1? Is he 2? Is he 3? Is he 4? Is he 5? Those are all interesting questions. But then at the end of the year, where those guys moved up.
And I think another interesting thing to go back and look at is what percentage was offense versus defense. I think last year it was kind of 50-50. If in most years it is 50-50, or if some years it's different. I think last year, you're talking about people rising up. I think last year Will Lee was number 18 or 19 on the list. I feel like he moved up quite a bit throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a couple of people respond on the YouTube page about my appearance on the that SEC podcast.
People liked you on the podcast.
Well, I mean, Aggies did. And one of the things that I noticed was a Longhorn fan. The tweet that Mike had was about me talking about the Lambos versus the four. It's not a shot.
No.
Maybe if you want to take it as a shot, And then somebody mentioned, well, Texas hasn't had a quarterback start the entire season, since 2007. I'm talking about instability at the quarterback position based on injury and based on bad play.
Yeah.
Right? Like, life in the SEC, typically you're going to lose somebody for a game or two. That happens often. Mine was more about like instability at the position when you have had a guy who has played well.
Yeah.
Or you have a guy who you expected to play well and not play well. And sometimes it's because of injury. Sometimes it's because it just didn't work out. That was more my case. Losing your starting quarterback in the second game of the season, like they did in 21 and throughout the last few years, is more what I was talking about, as opposed to like, yeah, every team gets hurt. And I hope A&M can get to a point where they get beyond that. And one guy's like, excuses, of course, Aggies. Oh my gosh, I broke the TV. I'm kidding. I didn't, Josh. I was kidding. They're not excuses, they're facts. And if you want to say excuse can be a fact. Yeah. Le'Veon Moss went down. That's a fact. It doesn't excuse that they lost those games. It's a fact. Everything's broken. TexAgs Live. Billy Liucci's next. We are back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program should have Billy Liucci either in studio or on the phone in the next 4 to 9 minutes.
Fair timeline.
Time to do Around the SEC, brought to you by the great people at the Jags Group. Let's go behind the glass. Nick Savage always addresses this topic with insight and thoughts.
Yep.
I don't know.
So you're going to be mad at me, David.
Probably.
I was prepared this morning, right? I was was ready to go, had something to say. Then I got sidetracked with a graphic that will be released at some point later today, I would assume. Interesting news and notes in the basketball world. Not going to break any news or anything, so don't worry about that. But Reese, is there a topic we could possibly?
Yeah, he's got one, actually.
I know. Reese is a rock star. I would love to have a conversation with y'all.
But this is worth a discussion real quick. Just for a moment.
You can air me out. I deserve it.
No.
I completely 100% deserve it.
Sometimes I feel like Nick has got a lot going on, so I get the deductive reasoning and context clues that like, all right, let's do a quick hit with Nick, right? And that was the perception I had this morning. But then at the break at 8:22, he comes in here and goes, dude, I had some thoughts for you this morning. You went away. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Nick. I apologize.
In hindsight, I should have just saved it.
You should have just
held
shut
on
up.
to it.
And then, around the SEC comes where I want some hard-hitting SEC journalism. And homeboy's I got nothing. Doesn't even lie to me. He could have said, David, what I wanted to talk about was 3 takeaways from Mike Elko. Boom. But no, he's like, double rods, Nuño. So you know what I say to that? That happens to me sometimes too, Nick. So we go to you, because you did have a topic for Around the SEC already planned.
I did have an SEC Around
Nygren's got
topic.
her back.
The 2025 PFF preseason All-SEC team has been released with 3 Aggies on there. David, would you like to take a guess as to who those 3 are?
3 All-SEC players from PFF.
Yep, from A&M.
From A&M. Will Lee.
Nope.
Will Lee didn't make it?
Willie did not make it.
Casey Concepcion?
Did not make it.
Good. Do you already know who the 3 are?
No.
That means you read it.
I know one.
Le'Veon Moss?
Nope.
What? Who's the one you were going to say?
Ernest Crownover.
Demetrius.
Sorry, Ernest.
So you did read the list.
No, I just saw that graphic.
Okay.
Demetrius Crownover is on there.
I just saw
Armaje Reed Adams is on there, and Torian York.
Okay, so I got 1.
Yeah.
Out of my 10 strikes.
I like that. Hold on. I like that, but I still am not a PFF disciple by any stretch of the imagination. I don't, and I'll say that when it's good, and I'll say it
when it's bad,
when it's negative, and I'll say it when it hypes up people on other teams, and they'll call me a hater, and I'll do the same thing with ours. But I like all the guys getting recognition, but I'm not just a huge PFF disciple, but I also would not call myself a hater. So
it's not the gospel.
Yeah,
it's just content.
It's another data point, and they do it differently. I just don't consider it the Bible. That's all.
So yesterday
I like what they do, though. It adds something different.
We had a fun luchador. I thought it was one of our better ones in the last month.
Since it's the one we've done.
Yeah, it's the only one. No, I had a good time yesterday.
We're doing them weekly pretty soon.
Yeah, buddy, I'm all in. This football season, right?
Yep.
But there was a couple of the superlatives we didn't get to that I thought we'd bring to the show today.
Okay.
One that you actually brought.
As long as you haven't already done them with Olin.
Got to take a shot. I've explained this to you. When I went to the Radio Hall of Fame symposium, they taught me that your listener typically listens for 8-minute stretches, and you're supposed to reset topics every hour with your different.
Sure, reset.
But I haven't done any of these with Olin.
Okay,
not one.
Perfect.
This is actually one that you told me we should add. Okay. Name 3 guys.
Oh.
What? By the way, what do you?
Fine folks at Another Broken Egg have really come through today with the dark roast coffee. It's good.
It's good for you. Name 3 guys important to depth.
That was mine, wasn't it?
It was yours.
Three. Well, I mean, there are a lot. What I meant was like the first three that come to mind when you're like, that's a key thing. I think I start with, it's a slash here, Ruben Owens, Amari Daniels. You've seen how important Amari was the last couple of years.
By the way, he is our 25 and 25.
Okay, good.
We can do. You want to do it, combine it in this segment, or since we're talking about it?
I would like to possibly finish this train of thought.
I just didn't want you to give all the Amari stuff now.
Okay.
By the way, Amari.
I just think they're good.
Thank you, La Casa Tequila.
I think they're key to the depth, and that's part of what makes that position group so good. But when you're talking about running back 2 and 3, and one of them's a 5-star that hasn't, due to being a true freshman and injuries, hasn't got his chance yet to truly show what he can do in this league. And I think people are going to be really impressed with Ruben Owens. And then in the case of Amari Daniels, he's shown it when called upon, coming in limited reps in a game. If like Le'Veon's going, he's had games where he's been part of a 1-2 punch. He's had games where he's been, because of injuries last season, where he was asked to carry the load in SEC games, and has been, pretty damn productive at times. So I think that tandem. My other one would be, it's vitally important, and it leads off to me with Damian Sanford, who was a guy that Elko mentioned on Saturday as having a really good offseason. But that linebacker depth, we talk a lot. You mentioned Torian York, and we talk a lot about him and Scooby. Scooby played hurt all year last year. Depth at linebacker is a big component of this year's team success. So you look at guys that haven't played a lot. I'm based on everything I've seen and heard, I am absolutely bullish on Noah McHale. I talk so much about Marco Jones. I probably don't talk enough about Noah. And there's certain guys in that class that I'm like, am I referencing them enough? And the answer when it comes to Noah McHale is probably no, I have not, because I think he's a guy that could push his way up this year. But then you got guys like Lockhart and Jernigan. That depth at linebacker, probably two of those guys, 2 of those 3 I mentioned, or 4 I mentioned just then, have to be like quality players this year. I don't care if it's a true freshman in McHale, if it's guys that we've seen a little of but not a lot in Lockhart and Jernigan, or if it's a veteran like Sanford. But those 2 of those 4 guys, to me, have to be guys that Elko and Jay Bateman are like, they could start if we need them to. They have to come out of camp going, those 2 guys could start if it weren't for York and Scooby. And if one of them gets banged up, we got no problem putting them in there. So that's really important. Trying to think of my other spot where I really, O-line has so much depth, it's hard to single out one guy. And by the way, that depth also includes guys like Ivy and Afua, who people haven't seen yet.
We have to see them this year too.
Yeah, because they're likely to start the following year.
Right.
I think depth-wise, and if I'm singling out a player, I'll go to like a Miles Davis. Not only because you look and you go, okay, we're feeling really good with Brooks, and then there's Anderson, there's Ratcliffe. I think Miles Davis is a guy that could push up and not only round out your kind of 2 deep there, which he will, he'll be on that, but push to get a lot more significant playing time. So those are some guys that kind of jump out at me in terms of depth there.
All right. Give me a player or 2 who most likely makes a play that changes the course of a game. Big play potential guys. Could be. Let's do one on offense, one on defense. Or
I'm on offense. I'm going to go Mario Craver.
Okay.
I think he's a guy that I think that receiving core is going to be a lot better. We've talked about it. I've made it real clear how I feel about Ashton Bethel-Roman potentially being one of these guys that we're really talking a lot more about a month into the season. Obviously, Concepcion and Bussy, everybody's really fired up about. But I think Mario Craver, I said it the other day, maybe it was yesterday to you, like, go look at the plays he made against Georgia, Texas, A&M, and watch how explosive he is and how quick he is and just pure speed. I think he would be a guy that could do that offensively. I think he's a guy that will do that from time to time offensively. And then on defense, I mean, I just think it's the tandem of Howell and Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
I just think those two guys, and they're going to get help from guys like Searcy and Hayes. I keep talking about Deion Hayes. Like, the dude had about 15 sacks while he was at Pitt. Not in 1 year, but over 2 years. He was there longer, but like his last 2 years there, he had 15 sacks in the ACC, and then went to Colorado and had about 3 in 3 games, and then he was hurt. So I think he's a guy. And then you hear what the A&M players are saying about him during spring ball. He's a natural pass rusher, but I'm going to stick, though, on this one with what I really know, and that's what I saw from Cassius Howell. I had an NFL scout tell me just this weekend, like, he thinks he's the number 1 NFL prospect for this group that Elko talks about. He's like, he might be a second rounder. They hold it against him that his arm, he doesn't have great arm length. It's like quite literally the one knock because they love how he plays. He's a guy that they're raving about the offseason in the weight room, what it's done to him. I think this week, when everybody goes out and watches practice, whether it's us or any other outlet, you're going to start hearing, oh, man, Cassius Howell, look at him. And you'll do the same thing with Ryland Kennedy because you really didn't see him in the spring. But I think those two guys have game-changing potential as edge pass rushers that maybe in hindsight you're like, damn, you might could have used it a little more last season, but you had a first and a second rounder there, and it was very tough to ever take them off the field. And forget the fact so much is made about a lack of sacks by those two guys. They played really well for A&M last year.
Yeah.
Meaning Scorton and Stewart. So, yeah, I mean, those two guys I think can be game changers. Cassius Howell, it was almost changed the game against USC. Looked like he was going to. He made a massive play in that Texas game down the stretch and gave them a chance to get right back in the game. And he did the same thing in South Carolina that I think could have been one of the plays of the season had they not called, I don't know if it was BJ Mays or Will, I think it was BJ, or whoever it was, called for a defensive hold, or he gets a strip sack, forced fumble all in one, scoops it up, and instead of South Carolina kicking the field goal to tie it and going to halftime kind of regrouped and gathered, A&M kicks a field goal at the end of the half, and it's 23-17, and they've closed the half on a 23-0 run. What does that do for momentum, that atmosphere that was so daunting as you go in to the half? And even if South Carolina did come out and score the next touchdown, they're only up 1 point. If they score the next 2 touchdowns, they're still within a score. Like, it would have changed the whole game and probably in a much more significant way. So I think he's my guy on defense.
Player with the loudest, and you've kind of answered this in different answers, but loudest expectations for you, like, all right, I feel really good about X, Y, and Z.
I think defensively, I'd say
Cassius.
My loudest, like what I think they can be, is Dalton Brooks. My loudest for what I know they are Regis and York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what they're bringing. Dalton Brooks could go off the charts. Cassius Howell could play his way into being a high NFL draft pick and an all-conference candidate. Offensively, I think it's
Casey.
I think it's Casey and Le'Veon Moss. And one guy I don't think we talk about enough. Armajé, such a team leader and kind of becoming the voice of that offensive line. Trey Zune is just the model of being consistently good. Like, he's a rock. I don't think we talk about Chase Besantis enough.
I agree with you there.
And look, if that guy, he might play well enough to leave after this year. If he stayed 2 more years, I think he'd be a potential first round pick down the road. But just this year alone, we talked so much about that Ruben Owens, the Le'Veon Moss injury against South Carolina. People forget around that same time, Chase Besantis wasn't playing.
Mm-hmm.
He got hurt, I believe it was against Mississippi State. They played LSU. Shanahan got better as the game went on. He got worn out in the first half. That was look, not to take anything away from what Marcel did, because A&M doesn't win that game without him. But a big part of Connor's struggles is they were getting so much up the middle on Shanahan and Dewberry, and particularly Shanahan in that one. They really missed Chase Besantis. And then they went up to South Carolina and were playing one of the best defenses in the country, certainly one of the best in the SEC. And they were just getting whipped up there. And again, a big part of that was you didn't have, I think, he's just an absolute mountain inside there. And at guard, A&M, I talked to Armajé at SEC Media Days, off to the side, and he said, man, I go, what are you weighing now? He's 327. So you're talking about like both guys being in that 6'4" plus range and both north of like 325. I mean, they got a lot of size at the guard positions. They're pretty freaking massive there. So again, and then 2 great options at center. You kind of expect to be able to see them move some guys around.
Last one for you for this segment. You may have touched on it with Coach Elko a little bit, but the most versatile player, it could be a special teams guy, like somebody that you want him on the field.
Versatile? I mean, you threw me with the special teams.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Bravion Rogers came up, like that.
Yeah, I mentioned him, but versatility.
I mean, obviously, Bussy is very
I would
versatile.
say it's Tyreek Chappelle.
Okay.
And Bussy on offense and Tyreek Chappelle on defense. Bussy can play receiver, he can play running back. You can motion him into where he's lining up at both on the same play, just to really try to get matchups or make the defense tip its hand. You could go tempo and leave Bussy out there, move him around. So I think him on offense and defensively, I think it's Tyreek Chappelle, just from the simple fact is Elko thought it was such a devastating loss last year when they lost him as the nickel, but he had started the previous years at corner, and he could easily start at either this year. If he ends up being the team's best or second best corner, he's going to be on the island. If not, or if it's kind of a push and you can get away with
him to nickel,
at nickel, he could be a pretty devastating feature at nickel. People forget Elko turned guys like, and I'm even going to forget the name. I think it was Deshaun Capers-Smith at the very beginning, and then I want to look it up in the break, but I think it was Deshaun Capers-Smith and then Ronnie Elam. He turned into really effective nickels, and then when Elam was lost for the year, he'd gotten in trouble, and he was so good in those first couple games, had to pick a Trevor Lawrence. Then they went to, I think it was a rotation, and guys, you saw like Charles Oliver break up 6 passes in a game. You saw Devin Morris have some really effective moments playing nickel in that defense. And those guys, like, not one of them, nothing against them, just factually, none of them even sniffed an NFL so much as training camp, really. And I might be wrong on one of them, but, I mean, that's the most any of them ever did. I'm saying they weren't NFL football players.
Yeah.
I think he can do a lot with Tyreek Chappelle at that spot. I really do.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with 25 and 25. Amari Daniels. Right now, we're talking Milliken Reserve. The neighborhoods at Milliken Reserve are nothing like your typical subdivisions. They're awesome, and they're based entirely on the Brazos Valley landscape and heritage, closely linked to the land with those deep Texas roots. There's no place like Milliken Reserve. 3 awesome neighborhoods to talk about. The Creek, homes on 10-plus wooded acre estates. You got the Hollow and a private and gated community. And you got the meadows that are responsive to their natural surroundings. Again, they are rooted in Texas soil. If this sounds like a place for you to look at, check out MillikenReserve.com. And remember, when you go to Milliken Reserve, you can go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking. You got the equestrian trails, the evening yoga, you name it. Learn more. MillikenReserve.com. That is MillikenReserve.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for 25 and 25, presented by La Casa Tequila, raised in Aggieland, rooted in the SEC. Number 20, Amari Daniels. So I know you started talking about him in regards to a question, so I'll let you kind of...
Reese, why don't you pull up, while I'm talking, some Amari Daniels stats and maybe some of his better games.
I have them.
Read them to us for a little bit.
So he had 27 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown against Auburn, 13 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown against South Carolina, 12 carries for 91 yards against LSU.
I think in that South Carolina game, he had that big touchdown,
56 yards.
Yeah, most of it came on that.
And then against Florida in week 3, he had 13 carries for 68 yards. And then McNeese, he had 12 carries for 75.
And go back maybe the year prior.
1 second.
I think he had, 590 yards rushing that year? Am I close?
Amari Daniels.
He had 532 yards rushing that year. His bigger games include 12 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown against Ole Miss, 13 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown against South Carolina, 5 carries for 85 yards against Auburn, including a 79-yard rush, and then 18 for 62 and a touchdown against Miami.
Ran tough against Miami. Had a costly fumble in that one, but he ran so tough there on the road going back home. But that was kind of the first time I said, okay, this dude's got some dog in him. Amari's been a good player for A&M since he's been here. He's been, he's risen to the occasion when called upon. I don't think people realize, there's a reason he didn't play in that USC game. It's because he was injured and it was time to get that shoulder fixed, to get on with it, so he'd be ready for this season. Translation, he played hurt against Texas, and I guess we live in this world sometimes where everyone wants to attack people and criticize when A&M doesn't do well. Because I remember people trying to attack Elko and company for Amari playing, and even Amari for him playing against Texas. And I would say to that, you can kiss my ass if you said that. Okay, that's me saying that to you. And if you said anything to me, my response would be kiss my ass. That dude, it's football. And I'm still pissed about the reaction from some people back then, because now I'm thinking about Amari Daniels, and it's getting me like delayed secondary angry about the reaction to that. Just because A&M lost the game and because he got tackled on a 4th down stop. And I can go back and find it where people, what the hell is he doing in the game? Because you had no Le'Veon Moss, you had no Reuben Owens, and you had a guy that said, Coach, I'll play.
Yeah.
Got a shoulder injury that's going to require surgery. I'll play. It's football, man. And that's what Warriors do, and they don't want to sit out and miss a game against a rival. And he's not a freaking quarterback. He's not an offensive lineman absorbing blocks. He's a running back. Give me the ball, I'll run with it. There's a guy on this football team that plays the same position as Amari in E.J. Smith, whose dad played with a separated shoulder famously way back in the day when some of us were young or even kids. That's what, to me, that just added to the fact that, hey, this dude lays it on the line for his teammates and for his team. He also didn't transfer, okay? In this day and age where we as fans want to criticize and attack anyone that leaves your program that you want to stay, it's okay when they leave and you don't care about them. You just let them go. But when you want them to stay, here comes the criticism. Here comes the vitriol. Well, let's praise the guys that stay, like Amari Daniels, look at Coley and Naboo, both battling it out at center. Look at Crownover and Fothery battling it out at tackle. Look at Amari Daniels, who knows there's Moss and Owens. And these guys stay. Look at E.J. Smith, who stayed. Amari's one of them, and he's a key part of this running game because he can step into a game at moment's notice. He knows the offense backwards and forwards. He's not scared to run in the SEC, and he knows he can be productive.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, I want to talk some Big Ten, SEC storylines that are out there. We'll talk about that here on the other side. Right now, if you have something in your family that's really important that should be shared, you should reach out to Chance McClain and his team at Heritage Films. We want to tell a story about your dad, your grandfather, your family business, your family ranch. Chance and his team can do that at the highest level, and that's what they've been doing for a long time. And Chance is a very, very good storyteller. He's done radio stations, Broadway musicals, movies, you name it. His passion is telling people stories and people's stories about their ranch, right? With his Farm and Ranch Films, which is a new part of Heritage Films, they'll basically tell the story about the soil that your land is found on, right? They'll tell about every acre, every bit of information from that land that the future generations that are going to inherit that awesome land are going to have to know in order to keep that place at the exact same way. We're talking about professional cinematic equipment that makes you forget that they're even filming, because Chance is just an excellent storyteller, and he will tell that story with the right pictures and the right video to get it up. It's not just a service, it's a time machine for your family and their most precious memories. It's Heritage Films. Check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. It is Heritage Films. Formio is what you used to call me. I am being formal this morning. Not OB, Billy. I will say it again. OB was awesome at preseason kickoff, by the way. Big Ten moving into SEC territory. Do you see that? You know, there was the report about North Carolina, feeling that they have a wink-wink deal with the SEC. I don't know if that's true or not. But there is some thought that the Big Ten will be moving more south here in the next year or so. What do you think about that? And does that force the SEC's hand?
Who's the Big Ten moving south for? This part I haven't seen.
It could be North Carolina if it's not the wink-wink deal with the SEC. It could be Clemson, and if it's Clemson, that now they're in South Carolina with South Carolina. So I've never felt like the SEC would do something based on what other conferences do.
I just think everybody's going to get to Everybody's going to get to 20 soon. The Big Ten and the SEC. So you have to start somewhere.
Big Ten's at 18 right now, right?
Are they at 18?
I think they're at 18.
Everybody's going to. They are. They are because they added all those. Everybody's going to get to 20. Yeah, and so the SEC's first step is going to be to get to 18. I don't think they're going to add 4 straight. The days of worrying about just piecemealing it on up are over. Don't forget who the SEC wanted the most when they added Texas A&M. They wanted North Carolina. I said that. My God, I said that to I may have said that the first time I was ever on Feinbaum. I said that to Doug Gottlieb. I said that to Desmond Howard. I said that to SVP. Anybody I was talking to, Staples and I were talking about that stuff daily. Clay Travis and I were talking about that stuff daily during realignment. And everyone, it was A&M and North Carolina were the prize. Like that was kind of like, if it a perfect world, that's what we do. That's no knock against Missouri. My girl Maggie Johnson on Twitter has been getting very mad at me because I'm slandering Mizzou apparently more than I realize. I have made comments about their game day atmosphere. I made my baseball comment, which backfired, and A&M people actually got upset. Oh, why does he say stuff? Shut your asses up. Shut your asses up. If I said A&M was going to beat Missouri in baseball, I didn't even say that. I just said Missouri baseball is really not even SEC, which is why it was such a bad loss.
What nice people.
For A&M. What are y'all doing?
We haven't had water in years.
Thank you.
And thank you, Richard. Thanks.
Luke. I'm glad Luke went and bought it. It's not upstairs.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, Richard. Richard paid for it. Luke went and got it. We don't have water upstairs. We have this
That's so kind
big
of you
building
guys.
and
Thank
no
you.
water. But yeah, so with that said, Missouri was not the choice there originally. They would have loved to have had North Carolina. And I think the SEC has always eyed North Carolina as and the thing about UNC is, it's if they move conferences, if they're not in the SEC, they're going to go Big Ten. So I think you really want them. I know people go, are they good enough in football?
Doesn't matter.
No, they're not, but they're better than over the last 30 some odd years. I'm going back to since like Mac Brown got there the first time.
Yeah.
They've been better than some of these SEC teams at the bottom. So it's not like, they're not going to be a power, but maybe they come up. Basketball right now, they wouldn't be, but they're a top 5 program of all time with all the championships, and they ain't going anywhere.
It's a Game of Thrones, though, right? You have to get territories.
And they're great in baseball, and they're in the Carolinas, like you said, and the SEC network is based out of Charlotte. Like,
Makes too much sense.
There's a lot of sense to be made there.
So
when you're going for TVs.
So when you're going for TVs, and I know market doesn't matter like it used to because of streaming and all the opportunities, but
Carolina's an amazing ad. Anybody that tells you otherwise is stupid.
Carolina, Virginia, which I think in that same report that I read that Virginia and Big Ten.
I just don't ever see Virginia coming to the SEC. They fancy themselves as a little too elitist. They feel like a Big Ten team, and sometimes you just have to just simplify it and stop trying to get, not you, but people just stop trying to get too analytical and try to act like you're solving some kind of puzzle.
Keep the Southeast Conference the
They've
Southeast
always
Conference.
felt Like they fancy themselves, like much of the Big Ten does, like they're like pseudo Ivy League, and just kind of, I think of Virginia and those little curved hats and the long mustaches and powdered wigs. They belong in the Big Ten.
They still do that there?
I don't think they still do.
It's not that bad of a look.
We can ask Chris Long if they do that, but I just picture that. That's just Big Ten country.
So if you do stay somewhat geographic, do you think they go for the other Florida schools, one or two of them? It's because you're saying you think they go 4, right? So does that include somebody from the Big 12, Arizona State?
No, I think they would stick on that side of the country. And I think, again, they broke the seal by adding Texas in terms of 2 in the same market, 2 in the same state, and that archaic gentleman's agreement died with that, in my opinion. I think Greg Sankey's a businessman and an incredibly good one. And I think he knows damn well that, hey, he probably knew when he was doing it. Like, this will take away this hill that South Carolina, Florida, and Georgia have stood on and acted like they would die on. They no longer. I can cut that out from under them. We've broken. That's no longer a thing. So if we want to add Florida State or Miami or
they wouldn't add
Clemson,
both,
I don't think the SEC is out there trying to add Georgia Tech anytime soon. But I would say it would be North Carolina and one of those 3.
Okay, that would get you to 18. And
probably, and to me, the team that looks like they're the most like get us the hell out of here is Florida State.
Yeah, I agree with that. But that gets you to 18. Where could 2 more come from?
I have no idea. Okay. God, you just tapped me out trying to talk about all that. I mean, the other 2 we just mentioned, Miami, Clemson, and then, like you said, do you continue to go? Do you look west again? Do you look west? You're not going to get Notre Dame. No, you're not going to go. There's nothing in the Northeast for you. Do you look west again? And I just don't know. There's Virginia Tech. There's Virginia Tech if you want in that Virginia, kind of closer to D.C. There's Virginia Tech. There's Florida. There's Miami and Clemson.
I could see one of the Arizona schools.
I don't know, man. I would not say never. First of all, I could never see Arizona, the Wildcats. I don't think they bring Jack, to the table. At least if you went Arizona State, it's right there in Phoenix, and it's got, I don't know, there's just something about that brand seems to pop a little more nationally than Arizona does nothing for the Southeastern Conference. I don't think anything at all. So maybe ASU, but I don't know, man. I think they'll stay in. There's a lot right there in that footprint that just kind of slightly expands it. And I know I'm talking maybe in old school terms when you look at USC, UCLA, and Oregon in the Pac-12. In the Big Ten. But nothing the SEC has done thus far leads me to believe they're interested in doing that and creating that type travel for their athletes and things like that when they could just do it kind of gradually in their bubble.
All right. We'll end this topic on this note. I could see the Big Ten going after Texas Tech, trying to get it to Texas.
Yeah.
I could see that. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. We'll get.
That's a horrible academic institution, though, and that's not the Big Ten's MO at all.
So who would fit Texas? Well, TCU?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. We'll hit a break. Come back with more TexAgs Live. And we're back. Final segment of the program, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
Reese Niger.
That is me. Former Aggie defensive lineman Shamar Stewart finally signed a 4-year, $18.97 million fully guaranteed rookie contract. Stewart and the Bengals organization were at a negotiation standstill that lasted 136 days, dating back to the beginning of the new NFL league year on March 12th.
Go ball out, Shamar.
Oh, now he's going to for sure.
I know.
Good for Shamar. Shame on the Bengals for trying to force that. I mean, what a waste of time and development, and also just to create just start things off on a sour note with your first round pick, and it's divisive within the fan base. I think most Bengals fans are at their wits' end. It might actually be helping Shamar that they're having such an issue with their actual star defensive end, their Pro Bowler, that throwing Shamar into that just kind of made them even more go like, what is wrong with our team? But it could have gone the other way where everybody thought, Shamar was completely playing it wrong. I don't think it went that way. But what a waste of time. What a piss poor organization to let it play out like that. But I'm happy for Shamar. I'm glad that he's getting a great deal and a normal deal per NFL rookie standards.
Niagara?
And then over the weekend, Evan Jacobson, the 4-star tight end out of Iowa, committed to the Aggies. He is a dual sport athlete, was an all-state basketball player his junior season, averaging over 18 points per game.
6'7", 240. He's going to be a really big tight end. And, just you hear about that basketball athleticism. You watch him, he's really light on his feet and agile and can run for a guy his size. He's going to be something special. And I think, they missed out last year on the tight end from, I believe, he ended up going to Kansas from the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an exceptional prospect himself. And, Kansas was a huge get for them. I think he ended up at Kansas. I have to look that up. But this is a similar player. I actually think maybe when I watch him better, I really like Jacobson. I think it was, I look at what Colin Klein's doing in that tight end room, particularly with a couple guys in this class now that really stand out, one from Houston, one from Iowa, of all places. And I think, and you look at him run and get into his routes, and he plays lower than 6'7", but he'll go up and use all of that height when he needs to. He's going to be a massive target. I think when you look at the tight end spot, I know you got Michael Riley coming in here in a few minutes. We don't talk about him enough yet either because he's a guy that was injured in spring, but Cole Kubelik was telling me the other day, like, man, they'd bring him in for Auburn. He'd get his hands on people and just maul them. Like, that room is starting to be really good, but you're talking about the future of that room, and you look at what they just signed as a true freshman this year, and you look at the guys in this recruiting class, and you go, okay, that room in a couple years is going to be a strength of this football team.
Yeah.
The tight end room is going to be a strength of this football team, and Evan Jacobson will be a big part of that.
Anything else?
And
Reese?
by the way, credit, he was recruited actively by the basketball staff, which played a big role in this as well.
And then more commitment news over the weekend. Aggie football commits to Quevis Beck and Victor Singleton announced over the weekend that they have shut down their commitments. Beck, a 4-star linebacker from Carthage, committed to the Aggies on July 1st. Singleton is a 4-star corner from Toledo who committed to the Aggies back in April.
Perfect. The more of those, the better.
Yeah.
One by one. You start the list of it's a new thing in recruiting is I've committed. Now I'm shutting down my recruitment. There's a commitment announcement, then there's I'm shutting down the recruitment announcement, and that's significant. It's a new thing, so we're not used to it. And you're well, we know exactly what that means because if you don't, it doesn't mean you have to take visits, but you're subject to it. And these guys that say I'm shutting it down, teams can still contact you and stuff, but it's just a verbal way. It's a social media way of telling the world I'm 1,000% locked in. And look, in a perfect world, every one of your commits ultimately ends up saying that.
Nygren, I don't think it's happened yet. Has the Deion presser happened?
Not yet.
It's right when it's 11 Pacific time.
Oh, Pacific time?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it'll be 1
Really
o'clock
interested
here.
in that. I hope Deion can continue to coach for two reasons. Number one, that would make me feel better about what feels like a pretty. It feels like a dark off-season storyline for him. Like whatever happened doesn't feel real, promising or hopeful. And if the announcement is, hey, and this is what I'm hoping, and I went through this. This is why I wasn't around. This is why we were quiet. Here's the prognosis, and yes, I can continue coaching. That's what I hope. I mean, look, Deion can be pretty polarizing. Sometimes I like what he does. Sometimes I just quite frankly can't stand it.
There's a Lane Kiffin factor there.
But if you don't believe he's like good for the sport of college football, I would disagree with you. I think it's bringing a lot of attention to a program that used to be legendary, to a conference that needs it. And again, like these guys like Deion and Kiffin and, these coaches that are polarizing and will say whatever the hell pops into their mind and do things outside the box and differently and challenge the status quo. There's a place for that in college football. There's a place for that, I think, in every league and every sport. And so again, I hope we don't get news that, hey, this is really serious. Fighting this fight's going to take me away from the game. I hope that's not what we get. Now, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling it's going to be more positive.
That's how I feel about it. The transition for Deion was not necessarily, even though he got great recruits for obvious reasons, I don't know if it's going to be as smooth as a transition for Bill Belichick as it was the NFL mindset coming to
Belichick. We could spend a whole nother hour on that. That one's fascinating. Just what a hire by North Carolina, and how do you go back to back Mac Brown, Bill Belichick?
Old school guy, old school guy.
Old school or just old?
Old.
Like really old. Like, what are they going to hire? Nick Saban next? Like, yeah, hell yeah, sign me up. But I'm talking about Nick Saban, like the rate they're going at Saban like 7 years from now. So, yeah.
Thank you, Billy. Fun Monday. We got practice starting on Wednesday. Can't wait for that. And got a great show for you. Presser tomorrow. Got Josh Pate tomorrow. Got Shireen tomorrow, working on some other things. That's going to do it for TexAgs Live on a Monday. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you mañana.